Welcome back to the Ultimate Garden Room series. In this video, we're going to be cladding these walls. Now this is obviously a soaking wet area and it's going to be run 365 days a year, which means that the pool will generate a lot of steam. The steam will be dealt with by a dehumidifier and air heater. But because these walls are tiled, they're stud work, we need to use a particular type of material, and it's a cement-based board, okay, and it's perfect for high levels of wet areas and moisture like this. Now there's very few boards on the market. This one will do the job. It's super rigid, easy to fix, and it will take all the tiling. So Lloyd's going to be helping me. So the first job, Lloyd, is we'll measure up. We're going to start on that wall over there. We're going to pull that wall through right into the service room, right on the other side. So to make this job simple, once I've made some measurements, I'm going to create a simple rod, and I'll use this because all of my boards are the same height. It's just a matter of measuring the board. Then I'm using the rail. I'm measuring the height of the rail. I'm going to mark that back on the overall height, and that will give me the length to the back of the rail. Now, what this enables me to do is then take a simple piece of softwood, offer it onto the board, and actually use that, mark it off, and that will be the length basically to the back of the rail every time. So yeah, I like using the rod, Lloyd.
For me, it's all new, yeah, because we're taught in carpentry, to use a tape measure, and we learn about a story rod.
Yeah.
But to see it in action when you're doing repetitive tasks is all new to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we always keep these long strips and rips. You see, we've always got a load of them. I mean, so all we're doing, we've made that measurement, the overall height, and we've marked along the top of a board, taken off your rail, because you've kindly brought in your Mafel for us to try, and it's a beast. It's really, I'm really impressed with it watching you use that. And then we've just marked it, okay? So there's no more measurements, because most of the mistakes in construction come from repeating the same process again and again. And if that process involves measuring something, then marking several times the same measurement, it's so easy to put a pencil mark just slightly one side of the line or the other, and it's where you can make a lot of errors. So by doing that and marking it once, and you've got a pencil mark there, you can't really go wrong. You're just going to score the end of that, quickly put it on this side of the board, score the other end. And I mean, we're cutting 5 sheets for that wall. We're going to cut another 5 sheets for that wall. We'll do exactly the same on the long wall, because I know for a fact it's going to be the same all the way through, and I haven't got to think about it. You see, it's a matter of just cutting, marking, lifting, moving. You haven't got to get this thing out again. This is the root of all evil. A tape measure is the root of evil. So yeah, it's always a good idea to try and use a rod. And this board, of course, you don't want to make too many mistakes with it, because it's expensive.
Yeah, it's not cheap. I remember on site, I've done it so many times, where you hold your mark on 100 mil, because you're trying to be more accurate. But what happens is you don't take away that 100 mil.
Everyone's done that. Everyone, I've done that, Lloyd, as well. It's they're the things that can catch you out.
Yeah, and the rod helps with that, because there's no other mark to get.
It's foolproof, and once you finish it, just playing those pencil marks out of the way, because then that can catch you out as well. So one thing we always try to do when we carry a board like this, which is really quite heavy, is keep it flat. So when we're putting it onto our bench, we are resting it against the edge of the bench and sending it over. This just means that it's just not going to crack under its own weight. So it's best to keep it upright, flat, and always use 2 people to actually lift the stuff. So if you're wondering what sort of blade that we use in our saws, it's called a polycrystalline blade. It has a few teeth and it's designed for cement-based products. They're super good at keeping the dust down. As you can see, we're using dust extraction. And I'll also have a couple of links in the description of this video to my Amazon page, where there are some of these blades listed.
Then, because we had the rod, it was a matter of just repeating that process, and every single panel was going to be exactly the same size. So as I said before, I don't like doing things with a tape measure that I can do with a set length. As just a strip of wood, it becomes a rod. You can't go wrong. And if I'm cladding a building and I've got sort of 20 sheets of something to cut, all the same size, this is exactly what I would do. It just eliminates any mistakes. Once we had all the cross-cut boards done, we had a board to rip to size as well. So Lloyd, using 2 rails, joined them together with quite a lovely connector from Fermacel. This really is quite solid, and it's quite easy because it's all from one side. Some rails you need a connector on both sides, and then using his Fermacel clamps that slide in the groove underneath and really do firmly attach those rails to the workpiece, we were able to make the rips, and it's really quite nice. So I haven't got one of these saws. This is Lloyd's saw, and this is probably one of the most expensive track saws that there is on the market, and the build quality is clearly fantastic. You know, you do get what you pay for. It's a bit of a cliche, but you really do get what you pay for. So yeah, Lloyd was doing all of the cutting, and it was really quite nice for me to watch it all in action.
So right, we've cut a few boards. The next thing will be to fit them, okay? So there's nothing to it. I mean, there's a special screw that we're using with the Powerpanel, and it's a Powerpanel screw. I mean, it's just a hard stainless steel screw, but it's got a really nice, narrow, neat countersunk head. So it's actually gonna pull through. There's no pilot holes needed, it's easy. And now the screws we wanna keep at 200mm centers. Now, if this was on a ceiling, upside down, which you can use it, then they go down to 150 centers, because it's quite heavy per square meter, this stuff. And it's not necessarily whilst you're fitting it. I suppose, you know, it's hanging there all its life, sort of thing, you know. So, yeah, so that's it, mate. We'll get in there.
Yeah, it's
and
good.
We'll start fixing it up and screwing it up. So what we'll do with the first one is obviously level it right up and get it nice and true. And once we know that one's right, we're just going to go bang against. Now, what we have to do on the joints is there's an adhesive. It's an adhesive stroke sealer, because this is a completely waterproof, moisture-proof board. So really you've got to get the joints done as well. I know it's going to be tiled and it's above the water line in the pool, but equally, you know, if there's a system, let's stick to it. So it's in a mastic sealant gun, and this is the gear, and it's got a nozzle which has got a shape to it, okay? You see that?
Oh yeah.
So that will basically mean that you can put it on like this and run it all the way down. We'll get a close-up shot of that, and that will give you the right amount of adhesive all the way through, and then butt it together and then knife it all off whatever oozes out the front. So that's it, we'll use that. It's called joint stick. That's original, isn't it? So all of our battening on our timber frame are set. From there to there is a full sheet, and so on and so forth. So the only one we needed to rip is the one into this corner to allow for the battens coming through this way. I'll put a couple of reference blocks on here, nice and true, to push the board against, check it's plumb, and then we can just go around and screw it all in. So all that's doing is stopping us, when we're putting the board in, they're nice and heavy, we can sit them against that, and at least we can check it for plumb, and if we're happy with that, we know that the rest of the sheets will work. So that's the first little thing we do. Then we come and bring a sheet and pop it in. So let's plumb this one up. So start in the middle and work up and down. 200mm apart, okay? So you need a reference of what 200 is. It should be this drill, yeah? It's exactly 200. push it up to me. That's it. Cool.
So that glue's for waterproofing?
Sealing it up, yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Get my rod.
Got the first wall through. Lloyd's just fixing the last bit behind here. Here he is behind here. Then I'm going to take these studs that we've got pre-cut and we're going to place them, we're going to fix those in against this wall. And again, so we've got this continuity all the way through into the plant room, and then this surface will come through and touch this one. Get this one ready next. So get the wall through, and then it's just a matter of flying through there, making these apertures here for this dehumidifier to go through. And that's it. So it's all pretty straightforward, a bit like plasterboarding, just a little bit heavier